Hello and welcome to this episode of The Adventures of the Windswift. We have a full crew today as we hopefully get to wrap up the great mystery of all things Drowish. And to tell us more, Dice of Destiny has determined that it will be number 6. That's Jenny. Off you go. We do love your write-up. So Jenny, tell us what happened in last week's episode.
They are starting to blur together a little bit. There's a lot of things that keep happening. We went to the tower to do an infiltration, I remember. Yes, because we started out in the sled, the spider-drawn sled, where we had met up with Blaxton and Con and sort of traded out information of what we were doing. And Blaxton had to go to a dinner with Senator Vyx at the Crescent Moon Estate, which he went off to do alone. Against some of the party's sort of mild protests going, whoa, what if you get murdered? But we were confident in his ability to handle it. And the rest of us went to infiltrate Vyx's estate while he was at this dinner, because we figured that if we don't have evidence of dragons very soon, we're going to be murdered or sort of righteously executed by the Drow government for all the bad things that we've done. So we went there to try to find his associate called Cruvix, who was the same person who had, of course, the Groundhog Day episode with all the... what are they called?
Recruits?
Recruits, yes, thank you. So we infiltrated with the help of a gift tiger con, bribed the guards, got into the place, and then snuck off to try to sort of investigate the place while Vyx was out. And we encountered a secret room with mysterious ice elves, with a sort of sinister map with a large obelisk on it. And one of the elves sort of grabbed the map and dashed out the back door while the rest of them started fighting us to stop us. And we barely got them down and then pursued this escapee down into the sort of massive labyrinthian tunnels underneath the... under the Undercity itself. In the meantime, Blaxton was having his discussions with Senator Vyx, and who managed to provoke the senator enough that he actually let slip that he had been in collusion with this, Cruvix. And Blaxton very quickly thought hard about dragons until his seal lit up, which of course terrified the good senator as he realized that he had overstepped. Then Blaxton went and dragged the poor senator while we were off running in the tunnels under the city to Senator Vestasios, the head of the secret police, basically, of the Drow.
Gestapo.
Yes, the Drow Stapo. And she was very surprised but pleased about being handed this criminal and being given this opportunity to look very good in front of the rest of the Senate, and then promised to assist us with rooting out this terrible, terrible dragon worshipper, as the rest of us underneath the city, or outside the city by now, managed to get all the way to this earthquake site. Where
in pieces, I might add.
Yes, we were in quite a lot of pieces by then. We pursued hot on the heels of Cruvix into this mysterious, terrifying temple underneath the, way underneath the earth. And that's where we left off.
And that is indeed where you left off, absolutely. All right, so that leaves us with Blaxton and Senator Vestasios, who is ecstatic that she has been handed Senator Vyx on a plate and caught red-handed. And the four of you, yes, rather mangled and not yet in the temple, but just outside of it. So, Blaxton, let's...
So bottom line is, I'm not the guy who's dying.
Right.
Yes.
Well, yes. Now,
Yeah.
right. So, yes, Senator Blastasius looks at you as the guards take Senator Vyx away. And she says, now, how may we assist? Obviously, troops are being dispatched to the temple or the earthquake area anyway. What else do you require?
I mean, do you want me to repeat what I said last session, or
Anything else other than that?
No, I'm fine with that. And the only thing that I would say is, well, then that's everything that I would ask for. I would like, however, to accompany the troops to see what is happening at the temple.
Absolutely.
Invite her to the play.
She
Makes you like that.
waves her hand at apparently a solid wall. And a few moments later, the doors open and a very tall, very smart-looking officer comes in. Strong jawline, slick, short-cropped hairs, helmet under one arm, black helmet with the purple plumage. And he looks you up and down. He gives you a nod and looks over at Vestasius. Please will you accompany this gentleman to the earthquake site with as much haste as is humanly or drowishly possible. There is something afoot there. You are to arrest anyone who is involved or anyone that this man, and she points at you, says to arrest. I want them all alive. I want that absolutely understood. Now, I wish you the very best of hunting.
I would turn to Senator Vestasius and say, thank you very much. If we might not meet again, then I'm looking forward to meeting you next time. And then I say, but you do understand, if there are any dragon worshippers, I have my orders.
You are absolutely right. She turns back to the captain and she says, Captain Kassiri, I wanted to make sure that you comply with his orders absolutely, yes? He nods. He looks back at you. If you will come this way, sir. I believe time is of the essence. He takes you from the great interrogation hall and along several of those longer corridors towards a rather large quad where there are quite a few drow assembled, and they all look up and give you a sort of a wary eye. There are 50 of them that are at his command, or 49 of them anyway, and he stands in front of them. It looks over at you and relays quite curtly in Drow to them, you assume the similar kind of orders. He then turns
I would understand it, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. He then comes back to you. We can depart now, sir. Is that correct, yes?
Yes, lead the way.
Absolutely. He takes you to a very large chamber. And this chamber has inscribed in its floor a very, very intricate circular diagram. And there's arcane runes and things about it all over the place. These may be one of those drow portals that you've heard of. They use them to navigate the underground quite quickly.
Right.
Stepping forward, there's an old drow, obviously a caster of some kind. He comes forward and looks you up and down, looks up the captain. The captain says that you need to go to the earthquake site immediately. And he says, it will take some time. I will get you there. Don't worry. And then he turns and starts to incant a ritual that he's going to do past.
So this is going to take some time in the sense of he's needing to finish this ritual?
It'll probably take him about 10 minutes, correct.
All right, then I would ask the captain, the god, like big, strong, whatever,
Yes.
captain, whose name I don't know yet. I say, I ask him if he can get me like some armor like if we need to run into them, because I have none right now. I have my weapon, but I don't have any armor right now.
I am absolutely certain that we can get that for you, sir. He turns to his batman and says, you look to be about 5'9".
Sure.
Armor for the man, immediately. Okay. So off you, off he disappears and he'll come back to you. Back to the four of you, and you are just outside of the
What does the front of the temple look like? Is it like completely flat, or is it?
No, it's a stepped pyramid like structure. And you can see that it extends up maybe 90 feet, maybe a little bit more. So it's quite tall. And right at the top, sticking out of it, appears to be this very obelisk-like shaped structure. The front of it is a series of steps, which you can see have got this blue trail leading up to it of blood from Cruvix as he has led his way in. And then this large stone entrance sitting underneath a fairly ornately inscribed lintel. And the surface of the tomb itself is inscribed with pictograms. It's very messy kind of stuff, very, very... by messy, I mean it's everywhere, but it looks to be dragons being defeated, elves. You're not sure. It's just this mess of masks and horror and death and destruction, basically.
And no other entrances that we can see?
Not on this side of the temple. The rest of it appears to have been buried a little bit with sand and debris that's fallen in during the earthquake. But it's very clear that the earthquake ripped through this entire area and somehow did not rip the temple in half at all. Yeah. Anyone can give me a nature check.
Not me.
Not me.
Yeah. Clearly I'm a bit distracted. 10.
The druid's
Are you
it's a cut. It's a thing.
Fine, 15.
Okay, that's way better than mine.
So
I'm not good at nature.
it looks as if the temple itself is at the very epicenter of where the quake happened, because the rent in the cavern above you extends almost as far, continuing past the temple as it does back from the way that you came. So it looks as if the temple's right at the center of it. Right, so what are you doing?
After him.
Yes.
Yes. Ow.
Yeah, limping severely, but yeah, after.
We can't see him, right?
Or has he disappeared from sight?
Yeah, exactly.
No, he vanished inside. Once you were lost in amongst the forest with the stone leaves, you couldn't see the entrance completely because you were sort of weaving between all of them. So his blood trail there is
slipping in.
really leading directly inside.
I see.
All right. Is everyone all right? Come on.
As well as we're gonna be.
Eventually.
Okay. I have cuts everywhere. Let's move.
Just be careful, everyone.
Okay. The temple entrance is 20 foot wide, so all four of you can walk abreast if you so chose.
I suggest a more cautious approach than just waltzing in a line through the entrance.
Well, come on, it would be an impressive entrance.
Two on either side. Two on either side.
All right.
Yeah.
Who's in front, need I ask?
I guess I should go since I'm quite a lot of the
I'm
fun.
actually, I'll be in the back. I'm actually going to cast invisibility on Doric. Sort of try to give him a surprise.
Okay.
All right. I walk in.
All right.
Sort of touch him on the shoulder and just mutter a mysterious incantation.
And as that blue magic washes out of your fingertips and sort of play over him, as it sort of washes over you, you disappear underneath it until you are completely invisible. So you're going to go
It
ahead.
cancels on an attack, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like anything, like not much more than just an attack.
Okay.
Yeah,
So any action
casting
that's not moving.
anything. Yes.
Right.
Basically.
Well, I walk in and see what I can see.
All right. Heading in, the passageway leads forward 40 foot. That blood trail leads directly through. There is absolutely no pause. At the other side, there are 2 doorways. The blood trail goes through the left, and it's not mysterious whatsoever. You do hear, coming from the other side of this door. Now, these doors, by the way, are heavy stone doors, which... when you arrive, you realize you push on a very large stone, and that seems to operate counterweights to slide the door open and slide it closed. Now, as you get up to that doorway, you can hear on the other side, it definitely sounds like something heavy is being dragged across a floor.
And as I came to the end of the corridor, is there like a small corridor so that I have to walk into it, or can I still see the others if I look back?
No, it's a 40-foot wide passageway that terminates into 2 large doors. So when you look back, you can see them standing at the entrance.
All right. Would telepathy cost us a spell here?
Is it a spell?
No, it's an ability. I don't want to yell, so I just send a thought to Con, I guess. You can come up. And then I sneak up to the door because I don't want to open the door because it will likely make a lot of noise.
Right. Message? Come up.
Come here!
Staff glows green. I look at the other 2. Let's do this.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
The 3 of you are...
So the door is opened by means of pushing on something.
Correct.
I push on it.
All right. You push on the heavy stone. As your hand touches the stone, you get this sense. It's not a magical sense, but it's a history sense that these are incredibly old stones. There is a certain polish that that has been achieved by thousands of hands pressing on these stones for eons past. And as you press it in, it's rather a slick motion of it sliding in. The door then swings open as if the whole thing had been well oiled by a crazy gnomish engineer just this morning.
They don't build it like they used to.
Right. Right.
Remarkable.
Yes, as that swings open, there is a fairly long corridor which extends, as the door opens, the corridor extends down to the left and continues, it continues quite a length.
I run ahead, obviously.
All right, give me a dirty saving throw, please.
Of course.
These recruits, cadets, no. What?
17.
17. Okay. Well, Jorik starts. Well, you don't see anything.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Down the corridor, and the next minute you hear someone going, "Oh, I'm going to run ahead." La 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 la. That specifically, but
Just twang.
no. As you are, Jorik, as you are moving down the corridor, you realize that scraping sound must have been caused by whatever left this silver trail that cuts directly across the corridor, because as you step over that, you catch it in your peripheral vision, the sort of shine, and you kind of pause to look back at it just long enough to realize that you've now stepped onto another stone that's clicked, and that's released this large metal blade which just slices across the corridor and then slides back again. You throw yourself out of the way as this happens, and you only take 4 points of damage.
Ow.
Slices quite cleanly across the kneecaps or the toe tips or something.
Ow. It's this kind of temple, is it?
Cut my nails off.
That temple of pain.
Well, I did need to trim my nails. Ow.
The paper cut temple, that's right.
Traps.
Right. So what you realize is that now that it's pushed across the passageway, the dragging sound, there's a handhold at the back of the blade, which is now sticking into its socket on the other side of the wall, and you basically have to crank the puppy back into place. So you have to drag it across its railing.
Rearm it, basically.
Correct. Which, well, someone did not too long ago. But yes, that's what you see. The invisibility is gone as you're leaking everywhere. But yes, the three of you suddenly see this metal blade shoot across the corridor, and then this little puff of red spray, followed by Jorik.
Ow!
Jorik? You alive?
Yes, I'm alive. It's trapped. Ow.
Yes.
It just nicked me. I'm all right.
All right, well, let's proceed a bit more cautiously then.
Yes.
It's not.
I'm not used to this whole spelunking in ancient temples thing. Sorry.
Oh, well, you know, funnily enough, that was exactly what happened to us on our first mission, too.
You're still here, so that's good.
Reassuring.
I'm mostly here.
You are
Right.
all
In that
still
case,
here,
let's get
right?
I look for more traps, by the way.
All right.
Yes, vigilantly.
Yes.
I use my staff to prod ahead as we go.
Okay. So you give me investigate checks, please, as you slowly move your way down this corridor now. The paranoia setting in. Check everything.
Oh, for crying out loud.
20. Not natural.
Well, that's good. 4.
17.
6.
I couldn't get that low if I tried.
Right. So
Remember that next time you have to have stitches.
right, absolutely, yeah. I'm just going to use this thick twine to stitch you shut this time around. So with Jorik and Adversai slowly moving their way down the corridor looking for traps and things, there are several more of those heavy blades down this line, but they haven't been reset. And you can get a sense as to why there's that grating sound when they're dragged across, because these last two, there's 3 of them in total, these last 2 obviously were triggered fairly recently, as in at least in the last year or so, because there's evidence of very dried blood all around the track and the rails. The other one, it had been scraped clean because they'd obviously rearmed it. This one is not. So, yes, that's what you find as you slowly move your way down the corridor. At the far end, there's a heavy door that has been closed, of course, and again, there is that hand pressing device that needs to be activated in order for.
Bloody ice elves.
Yeah, Jorik's just shuffle up to the door and leans against the wall and nods to the door. Someone open that, please.
I'm gonna press
He's
it.
not doing well.
I'm gonna press it sort of as far away from it as I can.
They push it tentatively, and
Oh, great! The shortest person is stretching out. That's
right,
amazing.
yes. The door swings open, and as it does, you hear this litany of curses and shouting emanating from further down. This is a fairly large room. It looks to have been perhaps in the very old days, it was a preparation chamber of some kind. You're not entirely sure exactly what it was, but definitely a space where there's stone slabs everywhere that people would lie on. Couldn't have been very comfortable, so it's not barracks, but it certainly seems to be a preparation chamber of some kind. Everything in this room has been cleared and moved. Everything that can be has been cleared and moved and piled up against the corner in one of the corners. Old blankets and bits of fabric, old crates and boxes, really old stuff that hasn't been used. This room is a rectangular shape, and at the far end there is another door that leads out of it. That door is half open, and it looks as if it's been dislodged off of its tracks. That's what you can make out from that side. Blaxton, the ceremony has come to a conclusion, and the Drow have brought you Drowish heavy chainmail, Gives you a pretty decent armor class. It counts as chainmail, yes, but it doesn't give you the dexterity penalty.
Oh, don't have that high of a dex anyway.
Right. It fits fairly well. They had to do a few sort of tightening of buckles and belts and things, but otherwise, generally good. The captain,
thank you very much.
Once you are fully equipped, you could almost pass as a drow, except, of course, for the color of your skin. But you can't help that, can you?
Of course. Well, not with exterior help, at least. And I smile. I never introduced myself. I'm Blaxton Rose. And who you are?
It is an honor to meet you, my lord. I am Centauri Kasseri. These are my men, and we are at your command. The old drow turns. The circle is ready for you. You may depart whenever you choose. I have brought you to the base of the disruptive area. It should be safe for you to stand when you arrive.
Very well.
He looks at you. Have you been through the drow transportation system before? You will experience a slight discomfort as the power of the magic consumes you. Do not fear, however, it is perfectly safe. I've used this for a long time.
Very well.
The captain and his men take position within the circle, and they've left a specific spot just for you. I assume you step in. As you do, the old drow waves his hands and completes the ritual. As he does, this brilliant blue light swirls around you, and as soon as it reaches a sort of a peak about a foot above you, it immediately starts to reshape itself back down again to your feet, and as it does so, you are now standing in this very large cavern. There's no sign of the Palace of Intelligence or the Intelligence Bureau at all. You're just in this large cavern. In front of you, you can see that this ground has been rent in twain as this massive rift has opened up. You assume that's the earthquake damage. It's quite surreal the way that there was fairly well-tilled mushroom fields extending in all different directions, and then suddenly this rift, it literally looks like someone's just torn the earth in half and just left this gaping wound in it.
So as we arrive and kind of go down on one knee,
it will pass, my lord.
Slight discomfort, eh? Kind of stand up again, kind of look around. Obviously, the thing that we're looking for seems to be very likely connected to the rift, to the... and I kind of... How far away is it from where we are?
The rift? About 60 foot.
All right, yeah, let's go get closer to that and kind of inspect it, investigate it.
All right. Kasseri sends forward 3 of his men. You can see that they're slightly lighter, wearing lighter armor as the rest of the troops, the scouts. They bounce ahead. You can see they're very tentative around the ground as they get closer to the edge.
Makes sense.
And every now and again, you see one of them kind of freeze. And then there's the sound of rockfall and earth sods exploding several hundred feet below you. Mm-hmm. And then he moves slightly his weight around a little bit and moves forward again until eventually one of them gets to the edge, and it's fairly a firm edge. He looks down. There's a whistle of mild surprise, and then he comes scampering back to you and to the Centauri. It is quite long way down, he says in common.
I would answer in Drow to kind of elevate this problem that he might have had. Did you see any way to go down?
Sorry, sir. I didn't. We will climb. It will not take us very long. We have the roping equipment that we will need. We anticipated this and have it all ready. As you look around, you can see the men already starting to hand out lengths of this very black, slick-looking rope, which they're starting to knot and plait together.
Yes.
as they do so. Kasseri looks at you. It will probably take them a few minutes to get ready, sir. Is there anything that we should do in the surrounding areas? He says, looking at the farmlands.
Yeah, so aside from the rift that kind of formed in the midst of the fields, is there anything else that kind of stands out? Like you said, like I remember from our investigations that there was this almost indestructible kind of rock that was supposed to be broken apart. I assume that is maybe forming, like that's where the rift has formed, right? I mean,
so looking along the length of this rip, and it is a significant rip. It disappears into the darkness way beyond the illumination of the fungi. But sticking out of the bedrock on either side of the rift, so as you sort of look down it, you can see sticking out of it perpendicular to the ground, these massive, large crystals that have a very distinctive purple hue to them. But these crystals must be the size of trees that are sticking out. Now, everything else has been cut, and this you find most remarkable, is that you can see that there's sections that were ripped open that look as if they've been cut by a blade rather than sheared apart by tectonic friction.
right.
Literally, it doesn't look like this was pulled apart. This looks like cut open, and then it caved in on itself.
Because it's a straight edge instead of like a zigzag.
Correct. So that's what you sort of seeing as you're looking around. The rest is literally just farmland.
So the rest is uninteresting. All right. How far away would these crystals be?
Oh, there's some that are a few feet nearby, as a matter of fact.
Well, since we're waiting right now, I just shrug because, taking a look around doesn't seem very interesting to the rest of us, and just saying, well, just get ready. And I would then, because as far as I remember, he wasn't necessarily briefed, so I would kind of give him the information that we will be possibly facing an ice elf, mage specifically, so that he needs to warn his troops basically about that.
Right.
And once I did that, I would take a look at these crystals and see if they're like smaller splinters or whatever
that you could potentially take with you. Absolutely. Yes. All right. So back to the four of you. There is this preparation room with the ajar door far down at the other end of it.
It's probably worth noting for you at this stage. If you notice one of them changing color, starting to glow in places, it means they're going to blow up like that one in the tower did.
Yes,
Right.
I have a question about that, actually. You have experience with these creatures. Is there even a point in trying to capture them?
It seems like not.
All right.
They're prepared to die rather than be captured and take you with them. So, like I say, look out for the signs that one has initiated the suicide blast. After that, there's nothing you can do.
So basically shoot to kill.
Yes, try not to destroy any evidence. That might be useful, though.
Right.
Understood. All right. I guess we start making our way across the room. Carefully. I've had enough traps for one day.
You go through the door.
Okay.
All right. You make your way across this chamber, and you get to the door that's slightly ajar. Beyond it, there is a very strange light shining through that gap, and you realize that it's coming from not the illuminating fungi that has been so far providing most of your light, but it appears to be coming from several very well-placed lanterns that are in a half circle around a gigantic rip in the side wall of this next chamber. The chamber itself, however, is fairly disconcerting because as you step into it, the walls you can see have these murals. And, well, not murals, you realize they're actually carvings in relief on the walls. And the carvings are of dragons being defeated by these very elvish-looking figures. But as you watch the carvings start to move. And you can see the battle actually taking place in the stone happening fairly slowly, but the whole wall, all three of the walls are moving. The one wall that has this giant rip in it is absolutely frozen. You can see on either side there was sculpture, but the sculpture's been blown and sort of shattered and broken, as they have very clearly blasted a hole in the wall here, and then have placed these lanterns around with light shining down this gap. The blood trail continues directly into that hole. You can see the lanterns, there must have been 6 of them that were placed there. You can see one of them has been taken, leaving 5 others. They clearly have a continual light spell cast upon them, as they are just continuously putting out light.
I grab one since I don't have any other means of producing light and plunge on afterward.
All right, you're just carrying on. So this...
I follow closely behind Con.
Right.
Gets definitely distracted by the wall. It's like, ooh, how does that work? How does it work? How did it work? How did this happen?
Well, as you're watching one of the panels, you can see that one of the dragons has been shot or sundered by some powerful bolt of energy, which has literally torn its way directly through this beast. And it plummets to the ground, where it's then swarmed over by these elves. And once they've left it, you're suddenly aware that you're now the last one in the chamber, because everyone else is kind of headed off.
Sagat, come on!
Like, ding!
Right. The tunnel that's been carved into this building, clearly someone was getting bored of slowly working through doorways and entrapped passages and the like, and decided to just tunnel straight in for whatever reason. So for about 50 feet or so, you are trudging through broken mortar. You can see that the inside of the ziggurat was constructed out of good old-fashioned bricks, which have just been stacked 1,000 upon 1,000 upon 1,000. And these have been blasted through with, obviously, various kinds of magics and things, until eventually you get out into a final, very large chamber. Now, one side of this chamber is a large pool of water that's been designed specifically to be in here. It's a square pool. There's a beautiful mosaic on the floor of the pool, which, because of the motion of the water, it makes the mosaic appear as if it's moving. It's this rather delicate scene of, again, it appears to be dragons being defeated by these elves, but because it's mosaic, it's in color, the elves have this exceptionally pallid skin, this very, very white skin, as they slowly are defeating this other dragon of sorts. The other half of the room has a large archway, which appears to lead out. There's no door now. It's just this open archway that leads out into a very dark space, which is unusual since there's so much light everywhere else. And that blood trail continues through there. I'm assuming
I wish this guy would stop running.
His thoughts are, I really wish they would stop following. Right?
I think we would all be running at this point.
Right. So as you get to that large exit way, you realize that you must be somewhere near the center of the ziggurat. This bridge, 120 foot in span, reaches out over, it seems like an almost infinite drop down into this pitch black cavern below you, and spans out to a square in the very center. Now, you can see that the way that the square is designed, it's suspended over this chasm by 4 of these bridges which connect to it from 4 different cardinal points. You've come around to the one on the side. But these bridges, like I say, they extend out to the central platform. Now, the central platform is held in place by these 4 bridges because you can see underneath it, there's nothing underneath it.
So like spokes on a wheel?
Yes, very much so. That's a good analogy, absolutely. In the center of the square, there is this tall obelisk which just points directly upwards. And disappears out into the darkness. You actually can't see where it goes to. At the base of the obelisk, there is the white figure of the elf leaning rather heavily against a large stone plinth of some kind, which is placed up against the base of the obelisk. And you can see that the figure is trying desperately to... It looks like he's hitting the stone plinth in various different places, and just getting very frustrated. He doesn't seem to care about you anymore.
Oh, no, you don't. Fuck!
All right, you're firing your bow. Adrusai, what are you doing?
I'm going to keep running towards him, I suppose. So start moving across this bridge.
Right, that's what you're going to do. Con?
How far away is he?
120 foot.
Keep approaching, point my staff at him and shout, "You're under arrest!"
Right. Sickhead?
Can't
hear you.
Oh, you're muted.
Yeah. I'm going to fire a firebolt at him. Let's see how this goes. Oh, natural 1, so that went really badly.
We're great. You're under arrest. Bang! Wait, that's not how that works.
You rolled a natural 1. Would you roll again, please?
Oh, no.
Oh, this is sorceress stuff.
I got a 6. No, it's a 9. It's a 9. It's a 9.
That's right. Either way, it doesn't matter. The spell goes off, but it doesn't. You throw out this firebolt as far as you're concerned, but nothing happens. There's a bit of smoke. It hasn't done that before. At least not that I'm aware of, anyway.
Okay.
All right, Jorik, make your attack.
I rolled before. 24.
24, that's a hit. Do your damage. Oh, yes, I've got his hit points here.
Oh, wow. Really? Okay, fine. Sure. 9.
9 damage. Okay.
Still pretty good.
Not with 3 dice, it's not.
Well...
Right, okay, so that's that. The arrow flies out. It clips across his back and it causes him to look up, temporarily stopping what he's doing. But then he continues. Blaxton, the Centauri, comes to you. We are ready to begin our descent, sir. We've rigged it so that we'll lower each other down. It shouldn't take us more than a few moments to get to the base of the rift.
Go.
You see that what they've done is they've hooked up a series of hoops in various ropes, and you basically put your feet into the hoops, and then there is a slight moment of trepidation as you step over the edge of the rift and put your weight on those hoops, and then they basically sort of lower you down in a makeshift elevator of some description, which they immediately start to do. They've run several of these ropes down, so multiple Drow are descending at the same time that you are descending. As you sort of hanging over the edge, you can see down below this very strange forest of very dark-looking trees. But the thing that immediately catches your attention is a very large ziggurat with the tip of an obelisk sticking out the top of it.
Similar to what we saw at the Gemspire?
Almost identical. Almost identical. Maybe not as big as the one at the Gamspire, but definitely exactly the same shape. The carvings on the outside is almost flawless. Absolutely the same. Correct. All right, so you're starting to descend. Adrusai, they're running across the bridge as fast as you can. You can see that there is the plinth that he is busy bashing on actually has a series of very large raised stone squares. And as he smacks a square, it illuminates briefly. And then he smacks another one, and it illuminates, and then he smacks another one, and then the whole thing goes dark. And then he repeats the pattern, and then he smacks a third different one. And then that one stays on. He hits another one, and then they all go off again. So
Simon Says.
Again, right? He's slowly
trying to figure out the code.
Way through. You can see that he's got maybe 1 or 2 squares left to illuminate if it's a set of 4 rows that he's working through, because he's got 2 down already. As he's going on to the next one, so you're running. Con, you've shouted stop. He shouts back at you, I've done this before and I will do it again. You wouldn't stop me then. You won't stop me now. And you will not stop me in the future either.
Oh my god.
Stop him! Stop him! Stop him! He's almost got it!
On the plinth.
No.
I beg your pardon?
I cast Dispel Magic on the plinth.
Ooh.
Okay. You cast a spell magic on the plinth. It's a roll from your side, isn't it?
If the spell is higher than 3rd level, yes.
Yes, it is.
So then the DC is 10 plus the spell's level.
Right.
23.
Wow.
Ooh.
Well,
That
so
hit.
that would be an automatic dispel, wouldn't it? If that's how these things work. So you cast dispel on the plinth. As you throw your incantation forward, you can watch your magic rip ahead, almost like lightning, and it strikes into the plinth that he's busy hammering on. Now, normally, it would just dissolve whatever incantation might be upon this structure. What happens is, as it hits the structure, you can see the structure just starts to absorb your magic rather than to be affected by it. There is a problem, though. It continues to pull magic out of you. I need you to give me a Constitution saving throw, please.
Awesome.
Oh, God.
Brilliant.
Come on. Your name is Con for a reason.
17.
17, all right.
Ooh.
You can feel that this... It literally feels like someone is sucking the breath out of you, except it's still magic. It feels like blood is pouring out of your arms and out of your fingertips. But with a sort of a snapback reaction, you break the spell.
You shall not!
Proceed!
So yes,
That's my energy.
and you feel as if you've been... it really felt as if it was going to just take everything that you had, which is bizarre because magic isn't finite. It just felt like it was sucking whatever is you out of you. Yeah. So
Right.
that's what happens when you do that. Sekat, you try more magicking.
Actually, I might do a bit of running towards the situation first.
Right.
I kind of want to get about 10 foot away, so I think that's probably going to be most of my move taken up.
Be prancing across that bridge along with Edrisai. Jurek, you?
Yeah, Jorik's really spent, but I fire another arrow at this asshole. I want him dead. And for role-playing reasons, I'm going to roll at a disadvantage because I have 1 hit point and no psi. I am done.
Ooh.
And that's a natural 1!
Oh, no.
Run it again, because you got 3 people in front of you.
That's an 11!
1 and an 11.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So as you pulling on your bow's string to fire this arrow, this wave of dizziness sort of washes over you, and the arrow and the arrow drops from your fingers onto the stone bridge and then tumbles down into the chasm below. Not thinking, you leap to try and grab it.
Uh-oh.
You don't throw yourself off of the bridge. You're not that fatigued. But as you leap to grab it, you lean forward, and half of your quiver then pours out.
Oh, no.
Well, like this collection of pickup sticks, as things just tumble away down into oblivion. Yes, that whole sense of wooziness is there.
And Jorik gets back up at the fiddlesticks and then falls over backwards.
Right. Absolutely. All right. So yes, that's your actions. Adresai, you have now basically you ran across this bridge with absolute speed. You're 30 feet away from him. What are you doing?
I'm going to cast Gust of Wind.
Gust of wind.
Get out of here!
It's
line of
powerful than Wall of Wind, right? So it's like just
it's a strong line of wind, 60 foot long and 10 feet wide. Blast for me. Each creature that starts a turn in the line must succeed in a strength saving throw or be pushed 15 feet away from me in a direction following the line. So I'm trying to push him off the platform, basically.
Right.
Because I don't want him to explode next to the obelisk either.
That's the opposite Mutaru way.
Yes.
He pulls people off.
Yes.
All right, so he's going to make a strength saving throw, and
Yes.
he rolls a natural 16.
Oh, no.
So for this round, he's holding on to the console as he bashes in the third key. He's got one last row of keys to plug in. Blaxton, you alight on the soil at the base of this cut. As you've been going down, you've seen more and more of these crystals and things that have sort of burst through from either side, completely untouched by this rift that's been caused. Would you please give me a... What would it be? Give me a wisdom check, please.
Just wisdom?
A wisdom saving throw. Give me a wisdom saving throw.
Saving throw. 8.
8. All right. You feel very uneasy. Something's not right. It feels... You've got all these men around you, but the space just feels wrong somehow. Something feels wrong about this place. You're not sure what it exactly is.
All right. I will cast Divine Sense.
Divine Sense. What's its range?
So the range is 60 feet around me.
Right. And that allows you to detect evil. And
It allows not alignment. It allows me to locate any celestial fiend, undead that is around me.
Right. All right. So you reach out with your senses to 60 foot.
And if there's any desecrated area as well.
Right. So as you reach out, there isn't anything that immediately triggers, although you do get a sense that there is some. It feels like desecrated ground, but it's above you. So when you look up, you can see that several of these crystals are protruding out, and they're well within your 60 foot, and that's what's
these indestructible crystals.
correct. That's what's registering as desecrated ground.
And there are numerous numerous crystals, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You probably count 20 or 30 of these outcroppings along the length of the rift.
Well, there's not much I can do about it. So while I'll wait for the rest of them to come down,
Right.
I will cast Locate Object, and I want to locate, Khan's medical supplies and see if they're anywhere surround me.
Right.
To see if he found this place or if he's out of sight. So how far away is the obelisk from where we came down?
The obelisk is...
the
whole temple thing, absolutely. Oh, probably about, no more than 100 feet or so.
Then I have 300 feet range with a... 1,000 feet range.
I thought it was a mile.
Meters.
Oh, it's just short.
1,000 feet, that's 300 whatever meters, right? 350 meters.
Absolutely. So, yes, you definitely get a sense that this bag is there, but it's moving quite quickly.
Doesn't matter, I'm heading for the bag.
Right.
And I tell the Drow to follow me as soon as they can, basically.
Absolutely. It shouldn't take a few more moments for them to get down, sir. Do we wait, or do we go with the men that we have? We have 10 with us now.
I know that my comrades are there right now, and I don't know what's happening to them.
Then we go down.
Okay.
They all draw these long, very curved black blades. Since they're going inside the temple, their spears are going to be useless. And they come charging in behind you. As you get to the main doorway, the captain stops and says, "My lord, this is your territory. Normally we would proceed with extreme caution. These places are known to contain all manner of devious ways in which Drow might be executed."
That's okay. You can do that, and I charge ahead.
We are not going to let a human show us as betters. They all charge behind you. That's how the entire company was wiped out. It was quite tragic, actually. Anyway, back to...
is all their armor red, perhaps? Yes.
Right, absolutely. Back to the bridge and our intrepid heroes. Jorik, what are you doing? You're lying there looking miserable.
I tried to get up on my knees and just fire another another arrow. Come on, I'm still rolling at the disadvantage. I know I don't have to. I don't care.
Right.
I mean, that's not too bad. That's 17.
17. Your arrow sails towards him, but as it gets near him, it suddenly turns into this missile and vanishes into the darkness on the other side of the plinth. It literally looks like it was describing this neat arc, and then it suddenly catches, it looks as if some invisible stream is above him and changes direction and shoots off into the distance, across the bridge on the other side and into the darkness.
I give up.
Have caught itself on something.
Almost like a magical gust of wind, would you say?
Something like that, absolutely.
I don't know this magical crap. I don't know.
Adressai, what are you doing? Are you maintaining your gusts? Can it be maintained?
It's concentration. So
yeah, it's concentration up to a minute. I'm going to sort of move towards him while maintaining it.
Was he blasting out this blue shimmer, creating this tunnel wind directly at him? Con, what are you doing? You see Adressai, you see them approaching towards this ice elf.
I'm sort of paused a moment, leaning on my... how far away am I now?
You haven't been running.
Continuously, yeah.
You're moving forward, though, absolutely. You're probably about, let's say, 40 foot away.
Perfect. Leaning on my staff a bit, feeling weakened and dazed and a bit puzzled by what I've just experienced, I mutter out another spell. And it's a hold person, which is kind of a misnomer, really, since it paralyzes them and doesn't hold them in place.
Right.
As far as I interpret what the meaning of paralyze.
Right. Well, can't move or speak, fails strength and dexterity saving throws.
Ooh. Saves.
Right, so it's a wisdom saving throw, correct?
Correct.
Gets a wisdom saving throw of 17.
Bollocks.
Ooh.
That didn't work then.
Well,
that's a good idea, though.
It was a good idea indeed. Absolutely. Seket.
Muted.
So, yeah, I'm gonna. Am I within 10 foot of the ice elf now?
You're still running forward. You're about 20 foot away at the moment.
Okay. All right. I need to.
But the problem is, there seems to be an awfully large amount of wind blasting around him, making it a particularly dangerous place to be.
Well, it's a 10 foot wide, so I think she could probably be next to it.
Yeah, she might have to judge exactly where to stand.
Okay, this could be fun, because I kind of want to get within 10 foot of him and attempt poison spray.
Attempt poison spray. Okay, give me a perception check, if you please.
God, I should stop doing this thing, shouldn't I?
Well, mechanically, it's fine, right?
Right.
It's just when you start in the stream, then it's a problem.
Well, considering I got 6,
right,
I don't notice anything. No. I just get blown by wind.
So yes, you step forward, getting ready to do your poison spray. You can do your poison spray. Your hair is starting to whip around you in this maelstrom of drama as you throw your spell.
Well, they need to do a Constitution saving throw.
Natural 20. God, the dice.
Really well. So that.
For being an almost dead ice elf, he's the most badass guy I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I'll change dice.
You're doing very well there.
Right. So as you throw your poison spray at him, again, this globule of energy, this octarine-coloured blue and green and pink ball of poison sails out towards him. But it just gets ripped apart and sprays against the far wall 200 feet away. The wind seems to be whipping everything away.
Do I have to stop it on my turn, or can I break this whenever?
The spell is not
break is free.
Yeah, all right. I'll stop it then.
All right, so you're going to
realizing that I'm doing more harm than good.
Right. It is. That's just the way I'm describing these misses. You must understand.
Yeah. No, I know. But in character, the character would be realizing that.
Okay. All right. So you stop it, which is a good thing. He slams his fist down the ice elf into the panel, and the whole thing lights up. And the entire obelisk starts to raise up, sort of stutteringly, with quite a sense of weight behind it. And as it's raising up, you can see that it's leaving the surface platform that you're on and exposing underneath it a rather neat area of this very dark purple crystal, and that area seems to be a shelf of some kind, upon which is this implement, which is this very green looking staff. The head of the staff anyway has this very green looking shaped thing on it. Blaxton, you and the guards rush down a corridor and arrive in this rather large chamber. Through that, you scamper. It's fairly obvious the route that everyone else took. There's blue blood and red blood sprayed everywhere down the corridor. You're not entirely sure how the party is still moving because of the amount of blood loss that has happened. And you eventually, assuming you're not stopping until you find them, right?
I mean, I know where they are. Why would I stop?
Correct. You eventually get to the edge of this bridge that looks out over this massive cavern, and you can see clustered around that central platform the four members of the Histari all throwing magic and things. Jorik is actually fairly close to you because you didn't go forward, did you, Jorik?
No, I didn't.
Still leaning against the archway.
I was leaning against the archway and it took a few steps forward, so I'm at the edge of the drop next to the bridge.
Yeah, running up behind you. These people, when you look back, there's Blaxton dressed as a Drow, and then an entire Drow army behind him. By the
goes the cavalry.
Correct.
Timing.
Correct.
So, how far away? Is this the end of my round or the beginning of my round?
This is at the end of your round. As you arrive, you sort of see all of this. You're 120 foot away from this obelisk, which you can see has now lifted itself up, revealing a section underneath.
I have nothing that can do something wrong.
There is something, however, that strikes you as being remarkably familiar, and you now realize what that unsettling feeling was.
Time distortion.
Well, perhaps, but there's a section at the front of the obelisk. It looks identical to the engine of the Windswift.
Okay. Well, Windswift, it would be the... What was the other ship called? Because I was
the
never...
Karass ship, the Kadandachi, I think it was.
Kadandachi.
No,
I mean,
Senderai. Kadandachi was the one that blew up.
The Senderai, yes.
Yeah, but that's what is the only ship.
Identical.
Yeah, but yeah, that's that one. Okay. Yeah, well, so... okay. But you said that... How close is...
Well, Jorik is about 10 foot away from you, give or take.
Can I get to him, at least?
Yes.
Okay. So he doesn't look too good, right?
No.
Not at all.
I kind of grab... You were on one knee, as I remember?
I'm on both knees.
On both knees, all right. I kind of grab him and then, we need to stop him! I kind of lift you up and run past you. And while I do this, I feel 15 points better.
Wow!
Ooh.
Da-da-da-da.
You're like, don't touch. Oh my God, touch.
Touch me more.
Not this kind of establishment. And I just run past him, but mechanically, obviously, this ends my...
Absolutely. Okay, Adrasai, back to you. He is laughing and reaching for that staff with this green head on it.
How close am I?
You are...
Sorry?
10 feet away. You're right next to him, basically.
Oh, God. I want to lunge forwards and try to grab the staff.
All right, so you're going to try and... You're just going to... All right.
Better than him grabbing it.
Grab him, not the stuff.
All right,
I'm not that strong.
It's fine, do it.
It's not difficult at all. You leap forward, you grab that...
Rolling. Yes,
Right,
grabbing
I
it,
love
coming
you.
off crouched down, just holding it.
Okay, wisdom
It's a
saving.
Matrix-style roll in there.
Yeah.
Got it.
God. Oh, 24.
24. All right. So you grab the staff and you come up, you sort of stand up going, ha, I have the staff. You're not sure what it does exactly, but it certainly feels like it is radiating this energy because you can feel it washing over your hands and over your arms and things. I need you to give me a perception check, please.
Yes. That would be 16.
16. Okay. So the inscriptions on the staff are ancient inscriptions. And at first you mistook them for being draconic. But they seem to be perhaps even older than that. And this device obviously does not belong in this particular temple. It doesn't look like an ice elf artifact. It doesn't have that feeling to it. It's just this very curious shaped rod, and the head of it obviously is intact. So you grabbed it. What are you doing now? So that's, you sort of tumble forward, you grab it. You going to try and do anything with it?
I think I'm only just going to move away from him, just try to stop him from grabbing it. Can I sort of take it and move away, or is it stuck?
Yeah, you can move as far as you can, but he'll be able to rugby tackle you if he.
I want to use feline agility, which gives me double speed during a combat round.
Right.
And sort of dash away back the way I came.
Sort of back towards Con and Saket and company. All right. Con, what are you doing? You see that Adrasai's got the staff and she's sort of legging it past you. They're legging it past you. And they seem panicked.
I got this amazing Roadrunner image there. Meep, meep.
Just the legs are a circle.
The Ice Elf is busy pulling himself up. He is absolutely furious.
Well, I'm going to have one last push at it, and I said, I said you're under arrest! And I cast Hold Person on him again.
Oh, I didn't listen the first
I
time.
don't give a damn about your...
Oh my god!
I guess you do.
Oh!
So he freezes in place as your spell comes into effect. He doesn't seem to be able to move. What do you're right.
I continue on towards him.
Yeah, you
Well done, Con.
well done. I'm still running. And then you
I think that's
Drow on the other side of the cavern with Blaxton helping
Yes.
Doric up to his feet. Saket?
Well, he's frozen now, right?
Right.
So I guess I just walk up to him and sort of poke him and see.
To knock him out.
Yeah, he's still soft to the touch. He's not turned to stone, but he can't move. He seems to be held in place quite firmly.
Great. Hang on. I brought a rope. A rope.
Right.
Can I tie him up?
Absolutely. You start to loop it around his wrists and take it across and around. And he's...
Didn't they have to bite like a capsule in their mouth or something in order to explode? How do they do that?
I don't think we know that.
We don't know that.
I think Con knows, but we don't.
Okay. Does Con know?
Con knows.
Okay. I guess in that case, I'm shouting out to Con, like, how do they make themselves explode? Can we stop it?
Right. So that's what you're shouting out as you're busy binding him up and sort of tying him together. Blaxton, Jorik, what are you doing?
Well, I was ready to fire an arrow, but as I get to my feet, I see this happen. So I just like, oh, well, and I saunter over there.
All right. So you
see if I can help.
Okay. You quite easily catch up to Adversai, who's running in the opposite direction, obviously.
Yes, I'm going to stop.
They're holding the staff with this green object. Blaxton, you're behind Jorik. I assume you're also heading up as fast as you can until you see Adversai with this very familiar-looking green amulet.
Is this the same stuff?
Exactly the same. It's identical.
So the armor that I'm wearing, does it also have a cape?
No, these are Drow. No capes.
No capes. Sorry.
Oh, I was thinking the same.
Does Yorick have a cape?
Yes.
I have a cape.
He does.
I ripped the cape from his shoulders. Basically, it's like he's running and then suddenly something's stuck in his back. And I, without saying anything, I just throw it over the staff, kind of trying to envelop it. And I would try to get it away from you right now as well.
No, I help him wrap it up because he obviously knows. He's obviously got something in mind with this. I sort of help him and let him take it.
So there were two things that if I remember correctly, right? When I last met Cruvix.
Right.
There was the staff, and what was the other thing? Was it an amulet?
Yes, the staff and the amulet had separated. It was a black staff.
Right. And as he to put it together, I don't know what happened.
Right.
Okay, but that's the one thing that is great that we have it under our control. I kind of grab it together, and I'm sitting on this stone bridge.
Yes, stone bridge.
Okay, so then it's fairly safe. All right. And I kind of at this point I've been running for quite some time, so I think I'm quite out of breath.
Yeah, 100 feet, your dash plus the...
And I just look intently at them and I say, like, did you also have an amulet? Did you see an amulet?
Con, what are you doing? You've got him, he's got rope tied all around him now.
I put one knee on his chest and I grab his lower jaw and yank his mouth open and start rummaging around looking for the thing he bit on.
Right.
Right, where is it?
So,
I don't know. I'm sorry. I haven't seen an amulet.
As you sort of rummaging around in his mouth, give me a medicine check, if you please.
Ooh, my dice likes me today. That is 23.
So at the back of his mouth, you feel these two very soft, squishy glands, and you can only, the only conclusion that you can draw is that although it looks like they're biting down, they're actually just clenching the back of the tongue, causing these glands to secrete whatever's inside of them.
Oh dear.
To create the sort of chemical cocktail, which then obviously is swallowed, and then that causes a reaction with stomach acid, causing a gigantic...
There's nothing I can yank out, basically.
Right.
It's built in.
Correct.
How do you even begin to evolve that?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now as well. Like, that's
like dragons, isn't it?
I
mean, evolution is amazing, but seriously.
I mean, it's a bit like what dragons do, right? When they breathe fire, presumably it's two come together.
Right?
Yeah, but when they swallow it, it explodes, but presumably that's not what it's meant to do.
You spit it. It could be magic too, so let's not dawdle with this.
But yeah.
Well, Connor's the only one with his finger currently inside this...
and I'm just going,
But you realize that by placing your middle finger on the middle of his tongue, you're completely removing his ability to clench his throat. So he can't release.
I take
his
a
organs.
thick wad of bandages out and shove it into his mouth.
Right. He's
So that to
struggling
sort of
to-
immobilize his tongue.
You can see that he is heavily injured. His feet have been cut to hell. He's got various arrow wounds all over the place. It really looks like he has had a very bad day. Now he's struggling to breathe with this wad of fabric in his mouth. Obviously, whilst you're busy doing that, the thing about the glands, and it was kind of said, but obviously you're the only one who knows it, those glands, along with several other bits of their features, do not appear to have been part of the original design of the eye cells. Certainly, you know that from having studied Drow, from having studied the Jet Elves, from having studied the High Elves of Athane Vasul, none of them have vestigial glands that could possibly be expressed in this way. So someone has been playing around quite hectically with this weird mutational things.
It's the second instance of physical engineering
Right.
that I've come across recently.
Absolutely. Correct. So we're out of initiative.
Did you find an amulet, Saket?
Ah, yes.
An amulet? An amulet? What kind of amulet?
I don't know. Blaxton's shouting about an amulet. Best look under his clothes. I'm still sort of busy with his mouth whilst I'm saying this.
I will search him for an amulet. I guess I start with his arms. And
Sure, it doesn't take you long when, yes, you absolutely find this very green amulet as well. He was wearing it and obviously was going to use it for something. He was not sure what.
I think it's safe to say the game's up, I say, looking into his eyes while she's removing his amulet.
The look he gives you is just pure malice and hatred.
I'm guessing surrender is not really an option. I think that's probably about as much as I can squeeze out of my turn.
At some point, everyone sort of gathers, I assume, on this central plinth.
I want to have a look at the sort of plinth and the mechanism and the obelisk and sort of what can I figure out about it?
All right, so that's what you're doing. Jorik, what are you doing?
Is there any point in questioning this thing? I ask.
No.
All right. Twang! Forehead.
All right, the arrow bites true into his skull, and he,
Whoa!
for a moment, before going absolutely still, blue fluid starts to seep out of the wound that's been inflicted directly upon
I
him.
start pulling my bandage out of his neck.
There's a tapping on your shoulder, Blaxton. It's the Centauri.
Yep.
Orders, sir?
Well, now that we have found my companions, secure the cigarette. Is that what you said, right? Secure the cigarette and indeed be careful.
Medic!
Absolutely.
I say, looking at my companions.
Around, give some instructions, and they start sort of dispersing.
And
Stay.
send message back to the city, and if the Arc Relica would arrive, make sure that they get here as soon as possible.
So I'm correct in assuming that staff thing was a dragon relic, or is?
I kind of look at you, kind of look at the Drow that is now going away and starting to give
Right. Instructions, yeah.
I kind of just nod and say, well, I think it's best if we speak about this once we're back on the surface.
Right.
It'll be easier.
I need to get better at that, I realized.
And I take a look at the rest. I know that Yorick is a little bit better off now. Well, how is the rest of the group looking?
I'm okay. I'm sort of beat up and bloodied, but with healed wounds because...
So somewhat, you're not swaying?
No, I look like I've been healed.
Bit,
I'm
right.
gonna need another change of clothes again.
And what is mit
What is your status like?
Jacket and Con?
well, I'm definitely walking wounded, but I can probably just about limp back.
All right, and Con?
treatment.
Fine. See to the others.
All right.
Much more badly damaged. Jorik's on his last leg over there. I'm surprised he's...
No, I'm
last
fine,
arrow.
actually. I'm okay. I
I
got
already
help.
took care of him.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll give him a pep talk for another 5 each then.
All right.
I think it's
including me?
like, no, the girls.
Yeah.
I guess you got...
I don't
Fine.
Dude, you got 3 times the amount. That's male privilege, okay? You this is the first one I got to. So basically making everybody somewhat better looking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I can,
Thank you.
if they're scraped, well, that's just this job, right? But like at least out of immediate danger. All right, so then the one thing that I would say is give them the information that that Vyx is, well, I would guess, under extreme scrutiny right now. I don't know exactly what's happening to him, but he was working with them, and that's why we're here. And information was already sent back to the Order. The Arc Relica should be coming fairly soon, and we're going to wait here for them if you don't think anything else should be done.
No, I'd definitely like to wait here. This place is fantastic.
Can I go back and have a look at the walls?
Not, here as in the hotel here, but right here.
Yes.
Well, all right, if you insist.
I'm not leaving.
Next to the plinth.
Blaxton?
My smoking pouch.
Like, if you need to go back to the city, that's fine, but I'm not leaving this out of my sight.
Oh, I feel like
Blaxton.
we've been here before.
Yes, Yorick.
You told us about Cruvix before. You met him in this alternate timeline of yours.
I killed him before, yes.
Is this fine gentleman here Cruvix?
Is it?
Exactly the same man.
Yes, I remember cutting his head off, his shoulders.
All right, good.
No, it's not.
That's rather relief, all this time I've rather been taking it on faith with all this time travel nonsense, and trying to believe that you hadn't lost your mind, but clearly, here we are.
I don't think it's good, because I killed him before. I'm not sure.
Well, he was shouting something about how this had happened before will happen again.
He did, yes. And he also spoke about you won't be able to stop me in the future, too.
Let's just hope we'll stay in this time.
Yes.
Well, it seems pretty permanent, I say, looking at the arrow stick.
I gave him a nice horn, come on.
And as I said, yes, but I killed him before, and yet here he lies.
We should definitely give his likeness, if nothing else, to the Order to make sure that they can look out for him.
I'm so confused.
You and me both.
I try to pull my arrow out, by the way. I have 3 left. I would rather like to have some of them with me.
Right. No, it's not a problem. There's that strange sound of a metal object rattling around inside of a bone case with slushy stuff on the other side as you slowly sort of wrench it. Yeah. Very quick sound. Absolutely. So, Saket, you go back to the murals that are depicting the story. Your training at the Histari would indicate that because these murals contain quite specific information about dragons, to actually watch them happening would constitute gaining draconic knowledge. And although you could argue that perhaps it is of value, it could also lead to people getting concerned as to why are you so curious as to watching these murals?
Well, actually, I just want to know how the walls work.
Aha. All right. So you're kind of not watching the murals, but sort of trying to...
I don't need to see that. I just need to know how they made the stone move.
Right. So that's what you're trying to figure out. Adressai? Are you...
Yes, I was looking at the plinth and the obelisk, trying to figure out the mechanism.
Correct. So as you were looking at the mechanism, it's a fairly straightforward one. Now that you're close up to have a look, there's a very large, quite nice mosaic that has various symbols on it, again in that very ancient language. But this one is an ancient Elvish language. There's certain symbols that you can see are similar to current day High Elvish, as a matter of fact. And
I'm making sort of drawings of everything.
right. And when you sort of depress one of those squares, it either lights up or it doesn't light up, depending.
Would it look like a dragon artifact to me, the plinth? Or would I be able to... How... Okay.
The plinth itself, as well as the obelisk, those are all covered again in very similar elvish style of writing, but it looks much older than elvish. The artifact, the staff and the amulet, definitely not of the same make. Everything else, though, seems to be absolutely in alignment. You suspect perhaps that the ziggurat at the Gamspire might have had one of these at its center as well. You don't know. You didn't know that. Yeah. Correct.
Would this text be anything like what I saw in the book, or is it different?
None that sort of sticks out as being particularly memorable. But then again, in the book, you weren't looking for ancient Elvish either.
That's true.
Right. So, yes, it's just a fairly simple mechanism. Punch in the code, it unlocks and it lifts the plinth up. You suspect this plinth acts as far more than just a very large cupboard in which one might store spells.
Yes.
There is a very strange feeling around it as you get close to the actual obelisk itself. But unless you cast Detect Magic or something, you wouldn't know.
I'm going to take my time for that to cast Detect Magic and Identify and stuff, because we're probably going to be here for a little while. So I'm going to just take my time, make sure I understand the obelisk and everything that's going on here.
Are you going to cast Detect Magic?
Yes.
All right.
But it's as a ritual because I don't have it prepared. So it'll take 10 minutes.
That's interesting. So after 10 minutes of slowly incanting and working your way through this
drawing and
spell, you release the magic of the spell, and I need you to make a wisdom saving throw, please, because as the magic goes off,
you have not learned anything, have you?
Yeah.
She was warned by Connor.
It's true. Con was behind me when that happened.
Right. So
that's my excuse.
As your spell goes off, it feels as if someone is just sucking the breath out of you.
Oh no. This is 12.
12. Okay. You take 2 points of damage. It continues to suck the breath out of you. Con, you hear this gasp coming from Adrasai, and you can see tendrils of blue energy literally cascading off of her and being sucked into this obelisk, into the center of it. And she seems staggered and dazed by the effect.
Bloody hell! I leap to my feet and I sort of barrel forward and try and yank her out of the... Because I have nothing to do but physical intervention at this point.
Right, I don't have any magic left. the moment you grab her, would you make a Constitution saving throw?
Oh no!
So do I see this as well?
Yeah.
I cast Protection from Evil and Good on her.
What did you get, Con?
4.
Oh no!
Right. You cast Protection from Good and Evil.
Sure.
Okay. As you cast it, your divine magic washes out over the deck, and Adrasai has protection from good and evil. So it would seem. Con, as you touch her, you start to feel as if she's now pulling out of you what little essence you might have.
Oh no.
As it's sort of siphoning out from you and from her. You can give me another Constitution saving throw, please, Adrasai.
Bloody ice elves.
Oh, that's better. 20.
All right.
Not a natural.
With the rocking motion of Con, and you see Blaxton's hands illuminate as he's throwing out this magic around you, you manage to shut down your resource, almost sort of hold your breath, and it breaks whatever connection there was, and then both you and Con tumble to the floor.
Yes,
Stop fiddling with things we don't know anything about, all right?
Sorry, thank you, Con.
Might have forgotten to mention that.
Yeah,
yes,
thank you, Con.
Yes, anyway, I say, picking myself up. I wouldn't cast any magic on the plinth.
No, I understood that now. Thank you, Blaxton.
Where is the damn map?
Map?
I just remembered. He was
the map
when he fled.
Right. You're correct.
What has become of that?
You go back.
Was it the obelisk specifically that drew the magic, or was it the plinth? Sorry.
It felt like it was part of the obelisk and part of the plinth. The plinth seems...
All right, so it's the thing itself. All right.
All right, so Ket, can you give me an Arcana check, if you please?
Right, Arcana. Please be nice. Oh, dear. Well, I don't know where that dice has gone. I will find it when the cat does. Okay. 17.
17. The murals, or the carvings anyway, are obviously magically based, but you realize that if they had more magic, they would be even more animated and they'd move faster. But they're somehow attached to the ziggurat itself, and you get this impression that the whole structure has this very old magic almost built into its walls, if you like. The whole thing seems to have a very low background sort of magic left in its stones, which is causing these murals to continue moving.
Right.
Every now and again, and it's happened twice so far since you've been here. It's happened once so far since you've been here, is the murals seemed to become more animated and to move with a lot more fluidity and a lot more vigor.
Is that because there might be siphoning magic off something else at the time?
I'm not sure. It just suddenly feels like something that didn't have a lot of power suddenly got power and could start to move as it was supposed to do so.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm going to wander back to the others now to check what they're doing, see if there's any correlation.
Right. Well, so it looks as if Adrasai is sitting nursing some wounds. Jorik seems angry at something, and Connor's busy rifling rather angrily through the remains of the ice elf.
So what I would have done, I know I didn't say it, but I would have also kind of packed away the amulet, right? I kind of covered it up, and I would keep a very close eye, mostly on these two artifacts, while I wait for news about the Arc Relica and see how quick they are to react.
Right, absolutely, correct. So that's kind of what you see, Saket, as you sort of look down that long archway towards the center square. Con, you do come across this map. Once the amulet was found, that was the sort of the principal focus, so there was no real reason to continue searching. But yes, there is a scroll case that he has strapped to his thigh, and inside that is this very long map.
Nice.
Do you open it out to have a look at it?
Oh, yes.
Right. So as you unfurl it, you get a sense that there is magic keeping this thing intact. And the reason why is because as you open it out, it's in multiple fragments that have slowly and very carefully been placed next to one another to try and join the edges together. But there must be at least 18 different fragments. And there is this magic almost washing over it or encasing it like amber, keeping it together so you can see what's going on. Now, critically, the map itself smells of quite a distinct coffee flavor.
Coffee.
That's the aroma as you open that scroll.
Could be worse, I guess.
Aroma of coffee, right? And then you sort of cork it back up again. But yes, the map is a map that talks about this stone forest with this temple in the middle, and there's markings where they've obviously recently written notes and things desecrating what is clearly an ancient artifact of various traps and codes and corridors. Now, if you'd gone to the right, there are several rooms that are marked with giant red warning signs, all in this Ice Elvish script, which is this very sort of spidery, very jagged sort of script. And you can see that they only went 2 rooms in before basically just drawing a red line through the last doorway. And then they went the other way, which is the way that you eventually went to, until they got to that one chamber. And you can see that they could see that not more than 50 feet away from it was this eventual chamber that led out onto the archway. So they just decided to just basically hack their way through it rather than to continue on this maze that was obviously built within it. To get to that central archway, if you like.
Fascinating. Clearly they have some disconnection from their own history.
While he opens this up and kind of investigates it, you say he smells it. Now I'm more focused on the 2 kind of wrapped up artifacts.
Correct.
So obviously I can only be at so many places at once with my perception.
Right.
Would I smell the smell as well?
Yes, it's pretty potent. And given that this whole chamber has a very sterile scent, it literally smells as if someone has just brewed a nice fresh cup of coffee.
So I was at one person who deals with coffee.
Right.
While I was at the Crescent Moon Estate, did we drink any coffee, or did I come across this smell
Yes,
at all?
It did.
Absolutely. It smells identical to that.
Mushroom coffee.
Correct.
Okay. And
Actually, I think most of us would have smelled that smell since we were all in that estate.
Correct. And
We're in the kitchen.
What
That's
You, all but me, basically.
yes.
Yeah, what about you? Yeah.
To me, it just smells like coffee. Huh, curious.
Correct. So, Con, you kind of go, oh, coffee, that's weird. And everyone else is kind of going, oh, I remember that smell.
Wait a minute.
What's happened to this? Well, I don't know about him. Anyway,
What happened?
where are the Drow right now?
well, the Centauri keeps wandering in every sort of 10 minutes or so to inform you.
Other than that, are
There's
we
still no
alone?
chariot.
I beg your pardon?
Other than that, are we alone?
Yes, correct.
So this would then, I would actually feel fairly certain that we are not being listened upon for once, because we are not in Drow kind of estate thing. So then I would say, don't you think this is the same smell of coffee brand that we encountered with Judzidari?
Yes, I was thinking exactly that. This smells exactly
So
like
these are
the
2
coffee.
things that connect her to this entire thing. For
Yes.
one, the book. For now, this
This map.
map in the belongings of an ice elf traitor. Well, ice elf.
Ice elf.
I did have a thought back when that giving over the book like this might have been some kind of attempt at
So
clearing
just,
their own name or lessening their own punishment.
so just for me, and maybe the others, when she wanted to give me the book in the first place, when I met her the first time, she wanted to give me the book, or she wanted to make me give the book to somebody else specifically. The name, I could take a look at the name, but I know she named a captain.
Ruth.
If I remember, the captain was from the Rex Darkari and not from, was one of the captains that were dragon worshipping, right?
Correct.
Okay. So that's information that I would kind of give to everybody.
So Judzidari gave you, or thought you were going to give the book to a member of the Rex Darkari, who presumably has now been executed by the Archon for crimes against everybody. So yes, that's what she was thinking. At least that's what you think she was thinking. You think?
Honestly, other people from the Order will arrive, but this is something that is extremely worrying.
It is. I mean, how deep does this go?
But I think we have much more important things to worry about right now, and I kind of look at the artifacts in front of my feet.
Mhm.
Yeah, you seem to recognize those. Yeah. You seemed to recognize those.
Yes.
Where from?
Him.
Oh, when you met in the whole confusing thing.
Yes.
So,
Right.
So was that in the future or in the past?
Who knows?
yeah.
Yes.
But that would, okay, yeah, this is confusing. But I would assume that he actually managed to acquire these artifacts whenever you met him.
Perhaps.
Whenever. This is,
Yeah.
So why were they here now?
I'm more worried about the artifacts we found here, and I think they're much more important to bring back.
Yeah, well,
while we are waiting for the others of the order, maybe they can solve the issue.
Why were the artifacts here? Didn't he have them? I mean, if they dug down and they had to cause an earthquake to get to this temple and he had to guess the code to get into them, was this when he got them? And then he went back in time to get Blaxton to stop you from stopping him now? Does that mean that it didn't happen?
Does it matter?
You're giving me a headache.
Well, then it kind of matters by if he was here to get this thing or if he was here to do something else with them. In which case, there might be co-conspirators or other people trying to finish some kind of horrifying scheme.
I know. That's what I just brought up.
Yeah, I know that you brought up the co-conspirators. I'm saying that knowing why he was here is important.
Sorry, Con.
I suspect that the why he was here might be better answered by our colleagues who deal with...
I agree.
I point at the monolith and the obelisk and the plinth, this sort of thing.
Was anybody pressing anything earlier, by any chance?
Well, I was having a look at the thing and it started...
No.
It started draining my magic. It's some kind of terrible power source. I don't know.
Don't cast any magic.
So wait, you pressed something, it drained you of magic, and the walls in there started moving fast.
Nobody touched it.
Wait, what?
No, I was trying to identify it using magic, so I cast a spell on it, and then it...
Drained
you mean it invigorated
magic.
The walls in the other room?
I think it might have. That might make sense. It should be interesting.
A set of footfalls coming from across the archway as
silence, everyone,
members of the Order of the Oct Relicar come racing along, followed by the Centauri. He's kind of giving that look of, their hands are glowing too, but I couldn't stop them even if I wanted to because they seem pretty intent on doing whatever it is they're doing.
That's fine.
So he sort of trails behind them.
Oh, you called for them already. Good.
That was very fast.
I said that.
They come to a stop. You can see they're all perspiring. They're breathing incredibly heavily.
Now, is there a certain one among them which I ran into before? Because
so you're about to jump off the cliffside.
No, you might say you were going to punch him in the face if you saw him again.
Right.
I might ask somebody to cast Gust of Wind while he's on the bridge. I'm not saying anything.
I'm out of spell slots. Sorry.
I'm kidding.
I know.
The three of them that come to a stop, you haven't met these particular ones before.
Good.
Don't recall.
Because every Arc Relic I met so far is a fucking idiot.
Or a traitor.
Or a traitor, or both.
So they step forward. They're immediately holding their hands up, showing that their symbols are illuminated.
Yes.
And the one steps forward, a rather elegant looking individual, very elvish in features, catches his breath.
Elvish features.
We are from the Oct Relicar. We received information, and he looks up at the obelisk and looks back at you, that there was a potential for dragon artifacts.
Don't cast magic on that thing.
Yes, the potential, I say.
Yes. We understand completely. This entire structure reeks of completely illegal activities on behalf of whoever uncovered it. We didn't get the full picture from the briefing, but we understand that there was a rather complex issue
Yes.
That's putting it lightly.
Something that is more worrying than the kind of gesture around
Yes.
ziggurat is maybe this, and I kind of point in front of us in the wrapped in magic items, what you will find in there. And I wouldn't put these two things together.
One of them, a very stout-looking dwarf, kneels down with their very high neck
Collar?
Thank you, collar. What's going on in my head? Leans down, this dwarf, and starts to look at the artifacts and looks up. My God, do you know what these things do?
I have an idea.
No.
I'd like to know.
I don't
You might,
want to.
but it's completely illegal information for anybody to know what these do. I take my hat off to you. These are really remarkable artifacts. They'll be destroyed, of course.
Are they dangerous? Like to touch them by?
I wouldn't touch them barehanded if I were you, and I certainly wouldn't put them together and then touch them with your bare hands. They're
No, so good that none here did that then.
aye, very good.
Yeah, no one did that.
That would be stupid.
Very stupid.
Right. Well, we need to dispose of these immediately. This is a priority one artifact here. This entire chamber, I mean, we've come across one or two of these sort of structures in the past, but they've never contained something like this.
There's something else I would want to know as first of all, Dungeon Master. The Arc Relica, do they have their own headquarters?
Yes, they
Or
do.
are they... so I would ask them, where are you? Where's your ship right now?
Right now, our ship is currently parked, and I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't been on it at the time. Our ship is currently near the city of Quethlin. When we received the call, our Archon instructed us to take an elevator, which we were on, and then suddenly we were, well, down an elevator shaft. The next minute we were hustled into this area of the Drow and suddenly brought here. That teleportation stuff is phenomenal.
He said Quethlin border?
No, Quethlin. It's a city in the Elvish Empire. About from here, 3,000 miles away. And then a couple miles up and across.
Quethlin, yeah, I see it. All right. I say to him, well, once you've finished up here, I think we should meet on the surface.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, surface. Yes, please.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's much more to this, I'm sure. Well, you boys and cats,
So
elves, and you certainly get around.
Well, we've done our bit, I say, standing up and stretching.
Yes,
Over to you, Naps.
I have a question. I made some notes of the old Elvish runes here. Would that be anything that I could keep, or do you want to take care of that? I'm not exactly sure about the...
protocol.
Very conscientious of you. What kind of notes did you take? The entire structure is dedicated, theoretically, to the destruction of the dragons, but they were the Ice Elves and we were the duplicitous bunch, so everything could possibly be misleading.
I walk over and I just show them I've basically just drawn copies of the runes or the letters that were on the obelisk itself. It's just for linguistic studies, really. In case we ever come across anything like this again that I would be able to read.
He looks over at the dwarf. The dwarf looks behind both of them to the large, very tall-looking orc. The orc kind of nods. The dwarf nods. He looks back at you. It seems my colleagues and I are of one mind. It shouldn't be a problem. You didn't find any other artifacts or items. I'm asking purely out of routine. I don't suspect any of you having wanted to smuggle dragon artifacts out of the temple.
We didn't find any other dragon artifacts.
No.
All right, perfect. Well, we'll take care of this, of course. We'll take over from here. Spear of the ship responding, by the way, out of...
Just one last question. If anyone was stupid enough to touch those things with their bare hands, what would they need to do afterwards?
Oh, no, it's only if the amulet has been placed inside of the staff itself, well, attached to the staff. It's basically an arming mechanism, and that can cause all kinds of trouble to the organic flesh type of stuff. I can't go into full details, but the staff doesn't exist in time. It's a really strange thing. It throws things in backwards and forwards, and once you've touched it, you're all sorts of places. There's a few people that can handle it without too much fear, but they're very special, and that's a secret. I'm afraid I can't reveal that to you, as it would be telling as to the origin of the artifacts.
Well, that's all right, as long as nobody is at risk anywhere.
They're not connected, so it shouldn't be a problem.
So if my comrades have no questions for you anymore, and you have none?
We'll have questions on the surface, that's for certain. Where shall we meet you for a debriefing?
I kind of look into the group.
Debriefing? Oh, God.
On the ship?
I just had to submit some...
Yeah.
I'd really like to go back to the ship.
Yes. Yeah. We're talking about where we meet on the
Where is your ship?
Well, I also need to find a...
Oh, right, yes.
We're in Takatumen.
Takatumen.
Yeah.
We'll see you upstairs. It's over to you, chaps.
Blaxton,
Yes.
do you have the duchy on you?
Can we meet up in somewhere in the Brenya Kingdoms, perhaps? That would be halfway.
Yes, Howdenly.
Howdenly it is. In 2 weeks' time?
Perfect. Suits us down to the ground. It'll take much more than 2 weeks to dismantle this place, let me tell you. But
Well, good luck.
aye,
Yes.
well, you did all the hard work. We're just here to clean it up.
Well, don't say that yet, but...
All right.
Con's already on his way across the
I wish you the best of luck, and with that, I'm good. Would then start following Con.
Right,
Same. I'm
muttering under his breath about ice elves and drow.
right. As you do so, you get to the edge of the archway to see this very tall, very handsome-looking drow captain standing at attention. My lord, he says as you walk past him, I assume.
So Centauri was his rank, or was it
His rank, Centauri.
Kasiri, I think that's how you pronounce it, right? Yes. Kasiri, well done. And yeah, I hope we can work together in the future again.
That is very kind of you, sir, but all we did was get you to the bottom of this cavern, to be perfectly honest with you. And by the direction of your companions, I'm assuming you will want to go back up to the top and then return to the city of Corsinia.
Yes.
I think that's where we're heading.
I think we should go back to the hotel, grab our things.
Actually, we have almost finished our dealings here in the city, I think.
I think we really need to release the duchy now.
Release it. It's a pet.
All right. Can I have your pet?
No, I bought it.
I will pay you for the pet.
I don't think it's really the point of conversation we need to talk about right now.
You say as you're sort of stepping into rope harnesses and then being taken up to the surface. Eventually, you find yourselves back at the hotel. It's a bit of a journey, but by the time you get to the top of the cliffs, those spider-drawn sleighs have arrived. More Drow army are busy dismounting and coming in to take over the situation. But yes, eventually you find yourselves back at the Dolendendium.
Oh, I'll spend some hit die whilst I ablution and
Right.
rest.
No, wait.
Going to have a
Probably go
bath.
to bed for 24 hours.
On our way towards the Dolendendium,
Yes.
I would then speak and say, obviously there's an elephant in the room.
Mm.
Do you guys think we should take care of Judzidari, or could we let this somebody else handle?
Clearly I'm missing something, but surely the smell of coffee is a bit of a tenuous...
I think we should talk to her if nothing else. I mean, she obviously was trying to help us out, giving us the book.
Yeah.
Was she?
Well, she could have just not told us about it.
No, she tried to hide the book. Blaxton discovered it in there and then took it out of its hiding place and gave it to you.
Well, she could have just not mentioned it at all.
Well, does she know that I am not of the Rex Drakari?
She was going to... Who was it she wanted it delivered to? Was it to Keen? Or who was it?
I don't know.
Ruth.
Like,
Ruth, yeah. He was one of the Rex Drakari, wasn't he? I remember that from the briefing.
yes. So if there was a misunderstanding there of hers,
Well,
And-
it is definitely our jurisdiction.
it is.
I think we should talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it should probably be us as much as I'd just like to get out of here.
Well, the
I
thing
just-
is, I think we have other things we need to worry about. So if we want to talk with her, I think we would be heading to the surface first to deliver a few wares, right?
Mm. We
Yes.
can always ask her to come to the surface to discuss it with us.
Under the sort of cover of needing to talk to her about a trade deal further, or
I just look at my palm and say like, well, there's also, I don't know. Is it still lit right now?
Yes, it is, and it will remain so until you report back that you have eliminated whatever threat you may or may not have perceived to begin with.
All right, so we just don't do that.
That's open to interpretation. I mean, the threat, in theory, never ends, right?
Loophole!
Captain Meccano Dana, you are not the first captain to have had that thought.
I mean, really? If you
Clearly,
think about it.
two.
No. Okay, so the question then is, do we want to talk to her right now, or do we want to have basically bring the stuff that we have on us to a safe place right now, ergo the book, right? Like, I would like to get the book out of here before we do
Yes.
anything else that kind of jeopardizes it.
and a long rest, please.
Yeah, but
I agree with we need the rest, and I agree that we need to secure these artifacts before we do anything else.
Yes.
all right. So then we
It's
go
just-
to the surface instead of the
She's not going
Dolondendium.
anywhere.
So we go to the surface instead of the Dolondendium. I mean, it was like what, the 3 hour or whatever it was.
Well, wasn't the elevator in the
elevator?
town, so we could just sort of go
It's
and
just
get our
out.
stuff and then...
Yeah, it's just outside.
Right.
Yeah. So that shouldn't take too long,
exactly
right?
what happens. You head back to Corsinia, you retrieve your valuables from the hotel, and all fees are waived. The hotel concierge informs you, taken care of by Senator Vyx. And
Whoops.
taken to the surface elevator, where a note is given to you, Blaxton, from Senator Vestasius. It simply reads, "See you again."
Right.
The elevator ride is, it seems to take longer going up than it did coming down, but you know that it takes exactly the same amount of time. Until
Absolutely.
eventually, there is
I argue with Blaxton about the
holy
duchy.
glare
It
As
six
the elevator-
6 hours, right?
rises, correct. So you all had a long rest.
I meditate on the way up.
Right, absolutely. It's not a
Oh,
as you get to the top, there is this unholy glare of sunlight, actual true
Yeah. After days underground.
I was
Right,
like, oh my god.
Sunlight sensitivity, right?
right, correct. And that
I have
lasts-
dark vision, not this crap.
this is
I'm
the
just going to
opposite.
put a
medical
veil
research.
like over my entire head and just like
Correct.
see through it.
And you make your way back towards the Windswift. When you arrive at the Windswift, you're walking along the docks and you realize that she's listing to port quite badly. She's probably on about a 5-degree list at the moment. You also
Fat
realize that the one portal on the quay side has recently been repaired rather badly because it looks as if it's been blown out of the side of the ship. And there's been some patchwork repairs and things.
What have they been up to?
As you lot are approaching, you hear Mios's voice shouting out, "Oh God, they're here!" And you see
Waffen, Jock and Stock, deck, now!
coming alive as everyone's running up. Lieutenant Jasani steps out onto the quayside, and you can see that she has these 4 very bloody lines running across her face. With they look about maybe 2, maybe 3 days old. Stepping up next to her, of course, is the first officer, poor old Naxon Hashtahep. He has his arm in a sling. Then running behind the 2 of them, Watford is holding what looks to be a piece of metal brass piping, which he's trying to straighten out. And Quallen has, well, actually, yes, that definitely looks like Saket's linen blankets that you had on your bed, is holding those. They're completely covered in blood. And Quallen is trying to hide them.
That's Saketi cotton. That's quite expensive.
God, is everyone all right?
Lieutenant Ty stands.
Ty, report. Report.
I am pleased to inform you that we have apprehended our stowaway.
Oh, right. Is everyone okay? Is anyone badly injured or dead?
No one is dead.
All right, good. Then we can go back to being mad.
We are exceptionally pleased to see you, Doctor, as Hurricane is in the infirmary.
Right away. I just go straight.
I should inform you, our stowaway is quite dangerous.
I presume it's been dealt with.
He is in the prison unharmed, sir.
Yorick, do we want to take a look at what's happening with this stowaway?
I would like a debrief with the crew first and get to know what happened. Then we can deal with the prisoner. If he's secured, I assume.
He is quite secured, sir. He is unlikely to escape his bonds.
Then I want all the senior officers in the war room for a debrief.
Looks up at the 4 of you that are left. With your permission, sir, we need to carry on bailing. If we could get airborne in the next couple hours, that would be fantastic.
Do you need any immediate assistance doing some kind of magical mending with anything?
What happened with the local authorities?
I beg your pardon, sir?
Why do you want to leave port right now?
Because we're sinking, sir. And if we leave port, we can take to the air, sir, where we will no longer be sinking.
That's fine. All right. We have other things to do, but as soon as we can leave, you can, leave the harbor.
Naxon, are you able to pilot the ship with your arm?
I will do my very best, sir.
Very well.
All right. So what happened?
To the war room.
Yes. You all assemble. Well, Con, you go down to the infirmary, I'm assuming.
Not the cook.
Not the cook.
One bright thing in my life.
Right. And you step into the infirmary and you can see Hurricane is lying on your pallet on his side. And when you step in, he kind of rolls over and mutters something in Drow. And you can see he has this very long piece of wooden splinter that's obviously punctured through his lung and his chest.
Ow.
And he's not doing too well. So the 4 of you assemble in the war room with Lieutenant Ty, and she says, I did not expect the resistance that we received, but we caught him trying to sneak back onto the ship, and he is in full apprehension. I should warn you that he is a great sir.
Yes, well, that's what we thought it was, right?
Mm.
Correct. A very dangerous one.
Sneak aboard the ship, you say? A magical way or simply the physical way?
The physical way, sir. It seems as if he was unable to do so in any other way. It was
Which entry point?
he blew a hole in the side of the ship, sir.
That's not
Excuse me? You call that sneaking?
That's not very sneaky.
Whilst we
Sorry,
were
I didn't
trying
understand what you just said. Can you repeat that?
I beg your pardon?
Because there was voices in. I didn't understand what you just said.
Yeah.
It's not sneaking, and then what you said. I don't.
He blew a hole in the side of the ship, causing us to go and attempt to repair the damage. And whilst we were trying to do that, he snuck in from the other side.
Right. Thank you.
And on
That
that
makes
note, we will be back next week when the adventures of the Windswift continues. Thank you for watching. We hope you've enjoyed this brief foray into the Drow Underdark. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on how you would have perhaps tried to have solved this whole thing. Anyway, if you stay for the review, we're going to go straight into that right now. So Dice of Destiny will tell us who's it going to be. Number 4, that's Con at the moment. Con.
Well, Con's relieved. His last standing companion in his adventures thus far as a captain is not mad. And there is a person called Cruvix who does have dragon artifacts. Because you never know. I mean, look what happened to the last
2, well, 1.
Right.
He went crazy, possessed by something. You just don't know these days. But my faith in Captain Blaxton's sanity has been restored, or at least rewarded.
Nice. Nice.
Beyond that, so this was something that Con was sort of approaching, it, possibly in a very outwardly casual way, but inwardly multiple concerns to juggle regarding one dragon plotting, which is the bread and butter of what Con does as an story, but also getting sucked down this rabbit hole of drow weirdness and time travel, and sort of taking a lot of leaps of faith, like that. Blaxton knows what he's talking about. But yeah, successful outcome. Back on the surface.
For now.
For now.
Absolutely. Back on the surface. Saket?
Yes. Well, that was... it was good, I think. She messed up a few spells there, but oh well, that's... Yeah. That is Saket for you. It's just the nature of wild magic, clearly. Clearly she's going to have a big argument with Blaxton about his treatment of his pets.
You gave him something to eat. What's your problem? Don't you feed your pets?
I feed my pets things that I know are definitely not poisoned. There's a difference. Anyway, but yeah, I think it was a good episode. Managed to get through it without dying this time, or almost dying, so this is all good. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens next, and I think we're definitely going to be running back into the certain coffee grower again, so it's all going to be very interesting. It'll be interesting to see now where the adventure goes as we sort of had a conclusion of one, moving on to the next bit.
Yes. Blaxton?
I actually want to speak from my side as a player rather than my character right now. This was a very challenging episode for me, actually, because I think the most important thing to be a good player, how you accomplish this, is not just playing true to your character and knowing the rules, which should be just basic stuff, but also not to kind of shut down other players because this is what my character would do. And that sometimes can be a little bit hard. And I had to weigh a lot of different kind of things in this episode, specifically as the two caster went out to investigate the dragon shit. And I was like, So this was me, basically. My character wouldn't have done this necessarily just from just a basis of like, well, that's not what we're supposed to do. This is not what our job is. This is generally speaking, depending on what you find, I need to kill you, right? Or how you handle this. But I decided against going that route because, well, the players seem to be interested in that, and I didn't want to just say like, no, that's not what we're doing, right? So that's actually a pretty hard thing sometimes to decide, and that's why, even though it seems a little bit, well, irrelevant maybe at times to do these decisions, I think they have a lot of impact actually on how the sessions are perceived and what it could mean for characters as well. So I think it was challenging for me.
Absolutely. And there's always that temptation, isn't there, when there is something that's curious or interesting, to kind of want to explore it anyway, but within the tenets of the order of the Histari. That dragon knowledge is forbidden, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
No, I figured it was unclear because it wasn't actually a dragon thing that I was investigating.
Right, and that's why I asked about if I think this is a dragon artifact, because if it would have been, or even if Blaxton would have thought it would have been, I would have spoken out about it, at least say like, are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah.
Right? And with Sakat, she was kind of off, and I didn't really know what she was doing, so that was fine as well. But again, like, this is like just something that I keep in mind, and that sometimes it's hard to kind of balance.
Absolutely. I think it's important to keep that balance going. You don't want to shut other people down all the time, especially if the rules
never,
are
basically.
Correct.
That's why it's useful to be a doctor, because then you can just tell people not to do stuff all the time.
Don't do that. You're going to do it anyway, and then you're going to come back here and we'll fix those stitches, but don't do it. I told you.
But the reason why I was very happy that Yorick kind of snarled at our cat investigator here a little bit, because that I didn't need to do it, because I felt like, okay, now this is at some point always pouncing the first opportunity, every first opportunity at these things. So yeah.
Right.
Well, they are going to be investigating things.
It's our name.
We'll get to that.
It's a red dot, right? Absolutely. And I think that's also important to keep in mind. Jorick, you were disadvantaging yourself on the 1 hit point thing. It's a very contentious stance to take, and we'd need episodes to talk about that.
Yes. I know it's a very contentious point, but
Correct. But I mean, I think it's added to the drama and that sort of thing. The outcome was successful anyway. So what did you think of the situation, of the whole session, I should say?
It's a very interesting wrap up. It's nice to see how everything fit together, who did what, who was in cahoots with who did what. And it was fun playing with limited resources. I mean, as I said, I had 5 hit points going into this episode and 2 psi points. And very few arrows. I didn't have much to play with. And the first thing that happens is I walk into a trap and lose 4 of said 5 hit points. So it's like, okay, I really need to play this carefully. But at the same time, I know the rules say I'm fine until I'm at 0 hit points, but it feels wrong playing that I'm just this superhero. So that's why I went with the disadvantaging myself, because it just feels better from a narrative standpoint. It was nice to come back to the boat and see that the next adventure just conveniently waits right there.
Well, they're not allowed to leave, technically.
No, I just liked it. It was a neat little thing you did there as a GM. So
No
I
rest
like
for
that.
us.
You set it up. If you hadn't said you were looking for him, shit,
Yeah.
fine.
And
Possibly.
as for snarling at Adrosai, I have a feeling, I don't know, we haven't spoken about this, but Adrosai and Jorick has had this little camaraderie going during the episodes that have been. Yeah, we stuck together a lot, does investigations together, and it's been that I've been prodding Adrosai to be more careful, talk quieter, and it feels like Adrosai as a character is starting to think more about this, oh, right, I need to think about this. And even though they still do these stupid things, it's starting to become a point where they will be more careful. So I felt it was a good point to just finally punch that snarl. Stop doing that. And going forward, it's basically just. It felt like the right place. I don't know.
I agree.
Role playing wise, it felt like the right place that everyone is kind of settled in, and now it's the. Character what is it called? Character progression. Character
progression is
that's what I was saying.
And I think we saw that. Well, let's go to the cat in contention. to use some alliteration. But so Adversary, what did you think of the whole thing? Are you feeling snarled at as the?
Not really. I'm not really feeling that. I mean, it was a case of like I just like didn't necessarily know that the thing, the obelisk in itself, was going to do that thing that it did. And I felt like they were near this thing that might still be dangerous. And like they had to figure out if it was going to still be dangerous.
Right.
And like, do we need to deactivate this thing somehow? Do we like, did they deactivate something? Do we need to like watch out for this? But because it as far as they were concerned, this was still kind of a live threat.
Right.
But I do still like that it was a bit of a sort of almost an overcautiousness that fit very well in with the natural curiosity as well. Like, yeah, it was a good reason, but they still wanted to do it. And I mean, investigating the thing because of this whole ice elf culture that they've never encountered before and have not really even read about, and it's just suddenly there's this trove of information that they just kind of have to get a little bit. But as Tobias said, I am also very happy about this sort of budding, almost sibling thing going on, where like they're affecting each other, because I think Adversary is teaching Jorik things as well about like
not being an asshole,
like you catch more flies with honey kind of thing, and a bit of the whole not becoming frustrated and not giving up and having a bit more positive outlook on life. Whereas Jorik is sort of trying to remind Adversary that the world is really fucking dangerous and you can't stick your hand in things.
Yeah.
And it's just this sort of polar opposite thing where they work very well together because they're reining each other in.
Right.
And I enjoy that very much.
And to be fair, I do stupid things all the time. Jorix is very famous for running into traps, for instance.
Crashing the
Now
ship.
he will be.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, when it comes to the mystery itself, I feel it was a really good wrap up of like the action part, but it still feels like there are some strands that we still need to figure out.
Some strands still floating around. Perhaps just
it's not over yet, but the danger is over.
Right. Absolutely. Fix is certainly
think.
down.
It's never over. There'll be another ziggurat, I tell you.
Ziggurat, I'm
definitely
convinced of it. Right. Absolutely. All right. So thank you for watching. Thank you for joining in with us on this rather long journey. I think it was almost 10 episodes to wrap up this whole adventure from start to
Is it, though? Is it?
10 or 11 episodes. I think I lose track. I can't keep track of them.
I think it's 9.
You just
Doesn't matter. Quite a bit.
It's quite a lot that they've taken to get through to this final point. And yes, maybe there are some things left behind, and who knows what's in the future. Certainly a repair of the ship once again, as the valiant Lieutenant I refuses to fail the ship yet again, and has now managed to capture this mysterious figure who's been on board. What's that all about? Find out next week when we return with more adventures of the Windswift. Till then, goodbye.